Every human being carries a quiet question inside. It whispers in the silence. It echoes in moments of struggle. It rises when success feels hollow, and it lingers when pain feels unbearable. The question is simple: why am I here? From the beginning of time, humans have searched for meaning. We are not satisfied with mere survival. Food, shelter, safety, these are not enough. The soul hungers for something deeper. It hungers for purpose. You can see it in history. Philosophers debating the essence of life. Spiritual teachers guiding people toward higher truths. Every culture, every age, every society has wrestled with the same question. What is the meaning of my existence? And you can see it in yourself. Think back to your hardest moments. Maybe it was the loss of someone you loved. Maybe it was failure that shook your confidence. Maybe it was loneliness that seemed endless. In those moments, survival alone was not enough. You needed a reason to keep moving, a reason to wake up in the morning, a reason to push forward when everything in you wanted to give up. This is the human quest for meaning. But here's the paradox. Meaning is not handed to us. It cannot be bought, borrowed, or inherited. Meaning must be discovered. It must be chosen. It must be created. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and survivor of the concentration camps during World War II, once observed something profound. Those who survived unimaginable suffering were not always the strongest or the most physically capable. They were the ones who found meaning in their suffering. They discovered a why strong enough to carry them through any how. That lesson is timeless. Because every one of us, in our own way, faces adversity. It may not look like his, but it weighs on us all the same. And the difference between despair and resilience often comes down to this one question. What is the meaning in this? Pause for a moment and reflect. What gives your life meaning? Is it love, the people you cherish, the ones who depend on you? Is it growth, the pursuit of becoming more than you were yesterday? Is it contribution, the desire to leave the world better than you found it? Or is it faith, a belief that life, even in its pain, has purpose beyond what we can see? Meaning is not the same for everyone, and it is not the same in every season of life. For one person, meaning may be found in raising a child. For another, it may be in pursuing a dream. For another, it may be in serving others through compassion and work. But no matter what it looks like, the search is universal. Because without meaning, suffering feels unbearable. Without meaning, success feels empty. Without meaning, life itself begins to feel like a burden instead of a gift. Here's the truth. When you lack meaning, you may fill the void with distractions. You may chase pleasures that never last. You may seek approval, wealth, or power. And yet, when the lights go out and silence returns, the emptiness remains. Because meaning is not found in the surface. Meaning is found in the depths. And the depths are often revealed in adversity. Adversity has a way of stripping life down to its core. It removes the illusions of control. It shatters the masks we wear. It forces us to ask questions we would rather avoid. Who am I when everything is taken away? What do I truly value? What is worth holding on to? These questions are not comfortable, but they are necessary. Because meaning does not grow in comfort. Meaning grows in challenge. Meaning grows in struggle. Meaning grows when you are forced to confront the reality of life, and still choose to keep moving forward. This is why people who endure hardship often emerge wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. They have touched the depths of pain, and in those depths they have discovered the seeds of purpose. But let's be clear. Finding meaning in adversity does not mean pretending the pain doesn't hurt. It does not mean ignoring suffering or denying hardship. It means looking suffering in the face and asking, what can this teach me? What can I create from this? How can this shape me into someone stronger, someone more alive, someone more human? Meaning is not about avoiding pain. It is about transforming pain into purpose. So let me ask you, right now in your life, what adversity are you facing? What challenge keeps you awake at night? What weight feels too heavy to carry? Instead of asking, why me? Ask, what for? Instead of asking, how long will this last? Ask, how can I grow through this? Because the truth is this. Life is not about escaping suffering. Life is about finding meaning in the midst of it. And here is the hope. Even in your darkest moments, meaning can be found. Even in your deepest pain, purpose can emerge. Even when life feels unbearable, a reason to endure can keep you alive. Frankl called this the last freedom, the freedom to choose your response, to choose your perspective, to choose your meaning. No one can take that from you. Not suffering. Not adversity. Not even death itself. This is the beginning of the journey we are taking together. The journey of searching for meaning, not in spite of adversity but because of it. The journey of discovering that life is not asking you to be perfect, but to be purposeful. The journey of realizing that the human spirit is strongest not when life is easy, but when life is hard, and still, you choose to live with meaning. So here is the truth I want you to carry as we move forward. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control the meaning you give it. And in that meaning you find freedom. In the next chapter we will explore adversity as a teacher. Why hardship, though painful, can reveal strength you never knew you had, and how every struggle carries within it the seed of purpose. But for now, repeat this mantra to yourself. I cannot always choose my circumstances, but I can always choose my meaning. Chapter 2. Adversity. A word that makes the heart heavy. A word that reminds us of loss, pain, failure, and struggle. We resist it. We fear it. We pray to avoid it. And yet, if you look closely, adversity has always been life's greatest teacher. Think about the lessons that shaped you most deeply. Were they born in times of comfort, ease, and luxury? Or did they arrive in the middle of storms, when you were stretched to your limits, when you had no choice but to grow or break? The truth is clear. Adversity carves wisdom into the soul. It strips away illusions. It forces you to confront yourself, to face what you're made of, to discover strength you never imagined was within you. But here's the paradox. In the moment, adversity feels unbearable. It feels cruel. Feels meaningless. Only later, when you look back, do you see the lessons hidden within the pain. Pause and reflect on your own life. Think of a time when you faced something that seemed impossible. Maybe it was heartbreak. Maybe it was failure. Maybe it was rejection, illness, or loss. At the time it felt like the end. But looking back now, can you see how that very moment taught you something essential? Maybe it taught you resilience. Maybe it taught you patience. Maybe it revealed the importance of love or the power of letting go. Adversity does not just test you. It shapes you. It chisels away at what is false, leaving behind what is real. A seed must break open in the darkness before it grows into a tree. Steel must pass through fire before it becomes strong. A diamond is formed only under pressure. And the human spirit is no different. This is why adversity is a teacher like no other. Because it doesn't just teach you facts. It teaches you truths you can only learn through experience. Here's the first truth adversity teaches. You are stronger than you think. How many times have you said, I can't handle this, only to discover that you could? How many times did you believe the pain would destroy you, only to find yourself still standing months later? Adversity reveals strength that comfort keeps hidden. It awakens resilience. It proves to you that your capacity is far greater than your fear. The second truth adversity teaches is this. Control is an illusion. So much of life is outside of your hands. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control other people. You cannot control every outcome, every twist, every turn. And adversity reminds you of this. It humbles you. It strips away the illusion that you are in charge of everything. But in doing so, it points you toward the one thing you can control, your response. This is the essence of freedom. You cannot stop storms from coming, but you can decide how you will walk through them. The third truth adversity teaches is this. Gratitude is born in struggle. When life is easy, we take things for granted. We overlook the simple gifts, health, breath, friendship, love. But when adversity strikes, suddenly the smallest blessings become treasures. Think of someone who has lost their health. Every moment of energy, every pain-free day becomes precious. Think of someone who has lost a loved one. Every memory, every shared laugh, every word spoken becomes priceless. Adversity teaches us to cherish what we once overlooked. It sharpens our vision, helping us see what truly matters. And here's the fourth truth adversity teaches. Suffering connects us. Pain has a way of breaking down walls between people. When you suffer, you understand others more deeply. Compassion grows. Empathy deepens. You begin to see that everyone carries battles you cannot see. This connection is part of meaning. Because in suffering you realize you are not alone. You are part of the human story, a story where every person wrestles with adversity, and every soul longs for hope. But here is something important to understand. Adversity is not automatically a teacher. Some people go through hardship and become bitter, closed, hardened. Others go through the same hardship and become wiser, stronger, softer in compassion. The difference is choice. The difference is perspective. The difference is whether you resist the lesson or embrace it. So ask yourself, when adversity comes, how will I respond? Will I let it break me or will I let it shape me? Will I become bitter or will I become better? Because the truth is this. Adversity will visit you whether you want it to or not. You cannot avoid it. But you can choose what it makes of you. And this choice, this decision to let adversity teach you, is where meaning begins. Let me tell you a story. A man once lost everything in a financial collapse. His savings vanished. His business failed. His home was gone. For months he lived in despair. He saw himself as a failure, worthless, defeated. But over time something shifted. He realized that although his possessions were gone, his family remained. His health remained. His mind, his skills, his creativity remained. And slowly he began to rebuild. This time with new values. This time with gratitude for what could not be taken away. This time with humility, compassion, and perspective. Years later, when asked about the collapse, he said, "It was the hardest season of my life. But it was also the most important. Because without it, I would never have discovered who I really am." That is the power of adversity as a teacher. It doesn't just take. It gives. It doesn't just wound. It awakens. So let me ask you now, what is adversity teaching you today? What lessons are hidden inside your current struggle? What strength, what wisdom, what gratitude is waiting to be discovered? Pause and listen. Because adversity is speaking. The question is, are you willing to hear? As we move to the next chapter, we will explore the heart of Frankl's discovery, suffering and choice. We will see that while pain is inevitable, despair is not. Because between suffering and meaning lies your greatest power, the power to choose your response. But before we go, let this truth echo in your heart. Adversity is not just an obstacle. It is a teacher. And if I am willing, it will show me who I truly am. Chapter 3. Suffering. It is one of the few experiences every human shares. No one escapes it. No matter your wealth, your status, or your strength, suffering will find you. It may come through loss. It may come through failure. It may come through illness, rejection, or disappointment. And when it comes, it shakes the ground beneath your feet. It makes you question your worth, your future, even your reason for living. But here is the paradox of suffering. Even though you cannot always control whether it comes, you can always control how you respond. This is the heart of choice. This is the essence of freedom. Pain is inevitable. But despair is optional. Think about that for a moment. Two people can face the same hardship. One becomes bitter, angry, defeated. The other becomes wiser, stronger, more compassionate. What is the difference? The circumstances are the same. The suffering is real for both. But one chose to see meaning. And the other chose to see only misery. This is the power of choice in suffering. Viktor Frankl, while enduring the horrors of the concentration camps, made an astonishing discovery. He realized that while the guards could strip him of his possessions, his freedom, even his health, they could never take away his inner choice. The last of all human freedoms, he wrote, is the ability to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. That freedom cannot be stolen. Not by suffering. Not by injustice. Not even by death. And that freedom is what gives suffering meaning. Pause for a moment and reflect on your own life. What hardship are you facing right now? What pain weighs on your heart? What disappointment keeps you awake at night? Now ask yourself, what meaning will I give this? Will I allow it to define me as a victim? Or will I allow it to refine me into someone stronger, deeper, more alive? The choice is yours. Of course, this does not mean suffering is easy. It does not mean you should minimize your pain or pretend it doesn't hurt. Suffering is real. Pain is real. Grief is real. But alongside that reality sits another truth. You are not powerless. Even in your darkest hour, you hold the power of response. Here's what that looks like. Choice of perspective. You cannot change the storm, but you can decide how to see it. You can see it as an enemy that destroys or as a teacher that shapes. Choice of focus. You can dwell on what you've lost, or you can give thanks for what remains. You can feed despair, or you can nurture hope. Choice of action. You can give up, or you can take one small step forward. You can close yourself off, or you can reach out for connection. You can surrender to hopelessness, or you can choose to create meaning from your pain. This is what it means to choose in suffering. And every choice matters. Because every choice shapes who you become. Think of a person who loses their job. They could see it as the end, as proof of failure, as reason to give up. Or they could see it as a turning point, an invitation to grow, to change direction, to pursue a new path. The event is the same. The suffering is real. But the meaning and therefore the outcome is shaped by choice. Or think of someone who faces illness. They could see it as cruelty, as injustice, as reason for despair. Or they could see it as a reminder to cherish each day, to love more deeply, to live more fully in the time they have. Choice makes the difference between a life of bitterness and a life of meaning. But here's the challenge. In the middle of suffering, choice does not feel easy. The pain is loud. The fear is overwhelming. The temptation to give up is strong. That is why choosing meaning must be practiced. It must be cultivated like a muscle. Every day, in small moments of discomfort, you practice choosing hope, choosing gratitude, choosing love. And then, when great suffering arrives, you are stronger, more prepared to choose meaning even in the darkness. So how do you practice this choice in daily life? First, notice your perspective. When things don't go your way, do you see only the loss? Or do you ask, what can I learn from this? What is this teaching me? Second, notice your language. The words you speak shape your experience. When you say, this is the end, despair grows. When you say, this is hard, but I will find meaning, hope rises. Third, notice your actions. Do you shut down when life hurts? Or do you take small steps forward even when it feels impossible? Every perspective, every word, every action is a choice. And every choice is an act of freedom. Frankl said, those who have a why to live can bear almost any how. What is your why? What meaning can carry you through your how? Your why might be love, a person who needs you. Your why might be purpose, a goal worth striving for. Your why might be faith, a trust that life itself is not meaningless. Whatever your why, hold it close. Because in suffering, that why becomes your anchor. It becomes the reason you rise again. It becomes the meaning that transforms pain into purpose. So let me remind you, you are not powerless. You are not defined by your suffering. You are defined by the choices you make in the midst of suffering. And no matter how dark the night, you still hold the freedom to choose your response. This is the gift of suffering. Not that it is good. Not that it is pleasant. But that in the midst of it you can choose meaning. And in that choice you discover freedom no one can take from you. As we move to the next chapter, we will explore the power of perspective, how the lens through which you view your circumstances can either trap you in despair or lift you into hope. But for now, remember this truth. Pain is inevitable. But despair is a choice. And I am free to choose meaning. Chapter 4, The Power of Perspective. Perspective. It is the lens through which we see life. It shapes how we interpret events, how we feel about challenges, and how we respond to suffering. Two people can live the same experience, and yet walk away with completely different stories. Why? Because their perspectives were different. Perspective is powerful. It can turn obstacles into opportunities. It can transform despair into determination. It can turn suffering into meaning. And the good news is this. While you may not control your circumstances, you can always shape your perspective. Think of a window. If the glass is dirty, the world looks dim, distorted, hopeless. But if the glass is clear, the same world shines with possibility. The outside hasn't changed, but your view of it has. Perspective is the same. Life does not always change. But the way you see life can change everything. Let's explore 3 ways perspective shapes your experience of adversity. 1. Perspective determines your emotions. Your feelings are not born from events alone. They are born from the meaning you give those events. If you lose a job, you might feel destroyed if your perspective is, "This proves I am worthless." But you might feel hopeful if your perspective is, "This is a chance to start fresh, to grow, to discover new possibilities." The event is the same. The emotions are different. The difference is perspective. This is why two people can walk through similar suffering and come out with completely different outlooks. Because perspective, not circumstance, is the driver of emotion. 2. Perspective determines your strength. Adversity can drain you or it can empower you. It all depends on how you choose to see it. If you see suffering as punishment, it will crush you. If you see suffering as meaningless, it will drain you of hope. But if you see suffering as a teacher, as an opportunity for growth, it can ignite resilience within you. Think of athletes. They embrace pain not because they enjoy it, but because they see it as a sign of progress. Every sore muscle is proof they are getting stronger. The same is true in life. When you see adversity as preparation, as growth, as refinement, you discover strength you didn't know you had. 3. Perspective determines your future. The story you tell yourself about your suffering shapes the path ahead. If your story is, "I am broken beyond repair," you will live small, afraid, defeated. If your story is, "I am being prepared for something greater," you will move forward with courage and purpose. Perspective is not just about the past or present. It is about the future you create. Because your perspective shapes your decisions, and your decisions shape your destiny. But here's the challenge. When pain is loud, when adversity feels overwhelming, perspective does not come easily. The mind naturally turns to fear, to doubt, to despair. And so perspective must be chosen, must be trained. It must be practiced like a discipline. So how do you practice the power of perspective? First, by asking better questions. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of asking, "When will this end?" ask, "How can this strengthen me while it lasts?" Better questions create better perspectives. Second, by reframing your story. Notice the words you use when you talk about your suffering. Do you say, "This ruined me"? Or do you say, "This shaped me"? Do you say, "This ended my life"? Or do you say, "This gave me a new beginning"? Your story is not fixed. You have the power to rewrite it. And in rewriting it, you change your perspective. Third, by choosing gratitude. Even in suffering, something remains. Breath remains. Moments of beauty remain. Opportunities to love remain. When you practice gratitude, even in the smallest things, your perspective shifts. Suddenly, you see not only what has been lost, but what has been given. Not only what has ended, but what still endures. Let me tell you a story. A woman once faced a devastating illness. Her body grew weak. Her days were filled with uncertainty and pain. At first, her perspective was despair. "Why me? This is unfair. My life is over." But over time, she began to shift her perspective. She began to notice the love of her family, the beauty of small moments, the strength of her spirit. Her illness did not disappear. Her suffering did not vanish. But her perspective transformed her experience. Instead of seeing only tragedy, she saw opportunity. Opportunity to love more deeply. Opportunity to live more intentionally. Opportunity to inspire others through her courage. Her circumstances didn't change, but her perspective did. And that changed everything. So let me ask you, what perspective are you holding right now? Is it keeping you trapped in despair? Or is it lifting you toward meaning? Remember this truth. Your perspective is not fixed. You have the power to choose it. And in choosing it, you shape your experience, your strength, and your future. As we move forward, reflect on this mantra. I may not control what happens to me, but I can always choose how I see it. And in that choice, I find freedom. Chapter 5, Responsibility and Purpose. Responsibility. It is a word many of us resist. We associate it with weight, with duty, with burden. But responsibility is not only about burden. Responsibility is the doorway to purpose. Because meaning is not something that falls into your lap. It is not something the world hands you freely. Meaning must be taken up. And it is taken up through responsibility. Think about it. When do you feel most alive? When do you feel your life has weight, significance, importance? It is not in the moments of endless comfort. It is not when you escape every challenge. It is when you carry something that matters. It is when you take responsibility for something greater than yourself. Viktor Frankl once said, "Being human always points and is directed to something or someone other than oneself." In other words, true meaning comes not from turning inward but from reaching outward, toward people, toward goals, toward responsibilities that call us to live beyond ourselves. The burden that lifts you. Responsibility may feel heavy at first, but paradoxically, it is the very weight that lifts you. Think of a parent. The responsibility of raising a child is enormous. Sleepless nights, sacrifice, endless care. And yet, ask most parents if they would trade it away, and the answer is no. Because in that responsibility they find purpose. They discover meaning. Or think of someone who commits to serving a cause. The hours are long. The work is hard. The sacrifices are many. But in that commitment their life gains significance. They wake up with a reason to keep going. Responsibility transforms existence into purpose. The danger of comfort without purpose. Modern life often tells us that happiness is found in ease, in freedom from responsibility, in endless comfort. But look closely. When people live only for themselves, when they avoid all responsibility, when life becomes only about pleasure, emptiness grows. Without responsibility, life loses direction. Without responsibility, freedom becomes aimless. Without responsibility, comfort turns into boredom and despair. Meaning is not found in escaping responsibility. Meaning is found in embracing it, choosing responsibility. But here's the key. You do not need to carry every responsibility. Not every burden is yours to bear. You must choose carefully. You must choose the responsibilities that align with your values, your gifts, your deepest sense of purpose. Ask yourself, what matters most to me? Who do I want to serve? What impact do I want to leave on the world? Your answers will point you toward the responsibilities that carry meaning. For one person, it may be responsibility to family. For another, responsibility to their craft, their work, their mission. For another, responsibility to their faith, their community, their calling. It does not matter what form it takes. What matters is that it pulls you beyond yourself. That it calls you to live for more than just your own comfort. Responsibility and freedom. Here is the paradox. Responsibility and freedom are not opposites. They are partners. When you take responsibility, you discover true freedom. Because freedom without direction leads to emptiness. But freedom with responsibility leads to purpose. Frankl suggested that if the Statue of Liberty stands on the east coast of America, there should also be a statue of responsibility on the west coast. Because liberty alone is not enough. It must be paired with responsibility to give life meaning. Carrying your cross. Every person in some way is asked to carry a cross. Not as punishment but as a path to meaning. The weight you carry, your struggles, your duties, your commitments, these are not meaningless. They are the very things that give shape to your life. The question is not whether you will carry something. The question is what you will choose to carry and how. Will you carry bitterness, resentment, selfishness? Or will you carry love, duty, compassion, and purpose? One path leads to despair. The other leads to meaning. A story of responsibility. A young man once felt lost. He drifted from one pleasure to another, chasing excitement but finding only emptiness. No job held his interest. No relationship lasted. No achievement satisfied him. One day he visited his grandfather, an old man who had lived through hardship, war, and poverty. The young man asked, "Grandfather, what is the secret to a meaningful life?" The old man looked at him and said, "Find something, or someone, worth carrying. Take responsibility for it. And you will never feel lost again." The young man thought about it. He realized he had been living only for himself, avoiding all responsibility. Slowly he began to change. He committed to his work, to his family, to serving others in his community. And over time the emptiness faded. Purpose filled its place. It was not an easier life, but it was a meaningful life. Your responsibility. Now ask yourself, what responsibility is calling you? What weight are you meant to carry? What purpose is waiting for your commitment? Do not fear responsibility. Do not run from it, because within it lies the key to meaning. Meaning is not found in comfort. It is not found in self-indulgence. It is not found in endless ease. Meaning is found in responsibility. And responsibility is what transforms your freedom into purpose. As we move into the next chapter, we will explore love and connection, why meaning is often discovered not in isolation, but in relationships, and why love is one of life's deepest sources of purpose. But before we go, let this truth sink into your heart. Purpose is born from responsibility. And when I choose to carry what matters, my life gains meaning. Chapter 6, Love and Connection. Love. It is the most powerful force in human life. It has inspired songs, poems, sacrifices, and revolutions. It is the bond that holds families together, the strength that keeps hope alive, the light that shines even in the darkest moments. When everything else is stripped away, love remains. And in love, we discover one of the deepest sources of meaning. Love is meaning. Viktor Frankl once wrote that love is the highest goal to which a person can aspire. Even in the depths of suffering, when everything else is taken away, love can remain, as memory, as vision, as hope. In the concentration camp, Frankl would often think of his wife. Though he did not know if she was alive, her image gave him strength. Her memory gave him purpose. Her love gave him a reason to endure. This is the power of love. It gives life meaning even when life itself seems unbearable. The human need for connection. We are not made to walk alone. Human beings are wired for connection. From birth to death, we crave belonging, intimacy, relationship. Isolation breeds despair. But connection gives strength, resilience, and purpose. Think of the moments that have mattered most in your life. Were they not moments of connection? A kind word from a friend. A parent's encouragement. The embrace of someone who truly understands. Meaning is often found not in possessions or achievements, but in relationships. Because at the end of life, people rarely wish for more money or more trophies. They long for love. They long for connection. Love beyond romance. When we speak of love, we often think of romance. But love is much broader, much deeper. It is the love of a parent for a child. The love of friends who walk together through hardship. The love of a mentor who believes in you. The love of community, of shared humanity. Love is not only about passion. It is about presence. It is about saying, "You matter. I see you. I will walk with you." And when you give this love, when you offer it freely, your own life gains meaning. Love is sacrifice. Love is not always easy. It often requires sacrifice. It asks you to place another's needs before your own. It calls you to endure inconvenience, to give without expecting, to forgive even when it hurts. And yet, this very sacrifice is what makes love meaningful. Because in giving yourself to another, you transcend yourself. You rise above selfishness. You live for something greater. This is why love and meaning are inseparable. Because love lifts you beyond your own survival and anchors you in purpose. The healing power of love. Suffering isolates. It convinces you that you are alone, that no one can understand, that you must carry your pain in silence. But love breaks that isolation. When someone listens with compassion, your burden feels lighter. When someone stands with you in your grief, despair begins to fade. When someone believes in you when you have stopped believing in yourself, hope is reborn. Love does not always remove suffering, but it transforms suffering. It turns loneliness into connection. It turns despair into resilience. It turns pain into meaning. Choosing love. Love is not only a feeling. It is a choice. Every day you are given opportunities to choose love. To forgive instead of holding resentment. To encourage instead of criticizing. To listen instead of dismissing. To give instead of clinging. To show up instead of withdrawing. Each choice may seem small, but together they build a life of meaning rooted in love. A story of love. There was once a woman caring for her elderly mother. The work was exhausting. Day after day, she sacrificed her own time, energy, and freedom to serve her mother's needs. At times she felt overwhelmed. At times she wondered if her life was being wasted. But one evening, as she tucked her mother into bed, her mother whispered, "I don't know what I would do without you." You are my strength." In that moment the woman understood. Her sacrifice was not meaningless. Her love was her purpose. Her responsibility was her meaning. Her life was not wasted. It was deeply significant, because it was filled with love. Your love, your meaning. Now pause and reflect. Who in your life gives you meaning through love? Who gives you strength to endure hardship? Whose memory, whose presence, whose connection reminds you that life is worth living? And on the other side, who are you called to love? Who depends on your presence, your encouragement, your compassion? Who finds meaning because you choose to love them? Love is not always loud or dramatic. Often it is quiet, steady, consistent. But its impact is eternal. The universal language. Love is the one language every human understands. It crosses cultures, races, religions, and time. It is the one thing that unites us all. When you love, you participate in something greater than yourself. You connect with humanity. You step into the flow of meaning that binds us all together. So let me remind you, love is not weakness. It is strength. Love is not meaningless. It is the deepest meaning of all. And when life feels unbearable, when adversity seems impossible, love can be the reason you endure. Because love reminds you that you matter. And love reminds others that they matter too. As we move into the next chapter, we will explore transcending the self, how meaning is often discovered not in focusing on your own comfort, but in living for something bigger than yourself. But before we go, let this truth remain in your heart. Love is the highest meaning. To give love and to receive love is to touch the purpose of life itself. Chapter 7, Transcending the Self. There is a truth we often resist. A truth that feels uncomfortable in a world obsessed with self-image, self-promotion, and self-gratification. The truth is this: a life lived only for yourself will never satisfy you. Real meaning is found when you transcend the self. The limits of self-centered living. Look around. How many people chase endless pleasure, endless recognition, endless self-indulgence? And yet, how many of them end up restless, anxious, and unfulfilled? Because no matter how much you feed the self, it remains hungry. The self alone is too small a container for meaning. True purpose must extend beyond your own comfort. It must reach towards something greater. It must include service, contribution, legacy. Living beyond yourself. To transcend the self is not to deny your needs. It is to recognize that life is larger than you. When you pour yourself into others, when you serve a cause greater than your own desires, when you give rather than cling, your life expands. Think of those who dedicate their lives to justice, to compassion, to creativity, to truth. Their work outlives them. Their impact multiplies beyond their own lifespan. Their meaning is rooted not in what they consumed, but in what they contributed. The paradox of fulfillment. Here is the paradox. When you stop asking, "How can life serve me?" and begin asking, "How can I serve life?" fulfillment grows. When you release the obsession with self and step into service, gratitude, and contribution, you find joy that self-indulgence could never provide. Because in giving you receive. In serving you are lifted. In transcending the self, you discover the self more deeply than ever before. The role of adversity. Adversity often pushes us beyond ourselves. When life shatters our illusions, when suffering strips away comfort, we are forced to ask, what matters beyond me? For some, it becomes service. For others, creativity. For others, faith. But in each case, the focus shifts outward. And in that shift, meaning is born. Transcendence through creativity. One way we transcend ourselves is through creativity. When you write, paint, build, design, or innovate, you bring something into the world that did not exist before. Your work touches others. Your expression outlives you. This is meaning beyond the self. Transcendence through service. Another way is through service. When you choose to help others, to lift them up, to ease their suffering, you step into something larger than your own survival. Your life becomes connected to the human story. Your actions ripple outward, often in ways you will never fully see. Transcendence through faith. For many, transcendence is found through faith, the belief that life itself is guided by purpose larger than what we can comprehend. Faith invites you to trust, to surrender, to live not only for yourself but for a greater reality. The story of transcendence. There was once a man who had lost everything. His career collapsed. His relationships ended. His sense of self was shattered. For months he lived in despair, drowning in questions of worth. But one day he volunteered at a shelter. At first it was only to escape his loneliness. But as he served meals, listened to stories, and offered kindness, something shifted. His own pain did not vanish. But it no longer consumed him. Because in lifting others he was lifted. In serving beyond himself he found a new reason to live. Transcending the self gave him meaning his self-absorption never could. Your call to transcendence. Now pause and reflect. Where in your life can you live beyond yourself? What gifts can you offer? What service can you give? What cause calls for your strength? You do not need to change the whole world. But you can change someone's world. And in doing so, you transcend your own limitations. The freedom of living beyond self. Ironically, when you live only for yourself, you become trapped. Trapped in comparison. Trapped in anxiety. Trapped in endless craving. But when you live beyond yourself, you are free. Free to give. Free to love. Free to live with meaning that no setback can destroy. So let this truth sink in. The self alone cannot carry the weight of meaning. To live with purpose, you must transcend yourself. You must give, serve, create, and love. Because in transcending the self, you discover your truest self. Not the shallow self of ego and appetite, but the deeper self of spirit and purpose. As we move to the final chapter, we will explore living with meaning every day, how to take these lessons and practice them in the ordinary moments of modern life. But before we go, carry this mantra with you. A life lived only for myself will never satisfy me. True meaning is found when I transcend myself. Chapter 8: Living with Meaning Every Day. We have walked a long journey together. We have explored suffering, choice, perspective, love, responsibility, and the call to live beyond yourself. But here is the question that remains. How do you live with meaning every day? Not just in great trials, not just in moments of crisis, but in the ordinary rhythm of life? Because meaning is not only found in extraordinary acts. It is discovered in the small, daily choices that shape your existence. Meaning in the ordinary. Too often we wait for something big to give life meaning. A grand achievement. A dramatic calling. A once-in-a-lifetime breakthrough. But meaning is not reserved for rare moments. It is hidden in the ordinary. It is in the kindness you show a stranger. It is in the effort you put into your work. It is in the time you give to those you love. It is in the discipline of living with integrity, even when no one is watching. Every ordinary day is an opportunity for meaning. Living with intention. To live with meaning every day requires intention. It requires asking yourself, what truly matters to me? How do I want to show up today? What values will guide my decisions? Without intention, life slips by in distractions. But with intention, every day becomes purposeful. The 3 paths to meaning. Frankl identified 3 main ways to discover meaning. Through work or creation. By doing something significant, by contributing, by building or creating. Through love or relationships. By experiencing deep connection with another person, by loving and being loved. Through suffering. By choosing your attitude in hardship, by transforming pain into purpose. Each day you encounter one of these paths. Every moment is an invitation to meaning. Choosing meaning over comfort. Living with meaning every day also requires courage. Because meaning often asks you to choose growth over ease, service over selfishness, responsibility over comfort. Comfort feels good in the moment. But meaning lasts. Ask yourself, am I choosing what is easy or what is meaningful? Am I avoiding responsibility or embracing it? Am I living only for myself or for something greater? Each choice may seem small. But over time these choices shape the story of your life. Practicing gratitude. Gratitude is one of the simplest and most powerful ways to live with meaning. Every day take a moment to notice what remains. Notice the beauty, the love, the opportunities. Gratitude shifts your perspective from scarcity to abundance, from despair to hope. It reminds you that even in suffering, life offers gifts. And those gifts give you reason to keep living with purpose. Leaving a legacy. Living with meaning every day is not only about the present. It is about the future you leave behind. What story will your life tell? What impact will your choices create? What legacy will you leave in the hearts of others? Legacy is not only about wealth or fame. It is about love passed down, wisdom shared, lives touched. Every word, every act, every choice is part of your legacy. A story of everyday meaning. There was once a teacher in a small town. She never became famous. She never earned riches. But she loved her students deeply. She encouraged them, believed in them, pushed them to see their potential. Years later, her students grew into leaders, parents, creators. They often said, "It was my teacher who believed in me, who gave me the courage to try." Her life may have seemed ordinary, but in her daily acts of love and responsibility, she lived with meaning. And her legacy lived on in every life she touched. Your daily practice. So how do you live with meaning every day? Start small. One act of kindness. One step of courage. One moment of gratitude. Stay intentional. Ask yourself each morning, how will I live with purpose today? Embrace responsibility. Carry what matters. Let your duties become your meaning. Love deeply. Give love, receive love, and let connection anchor your purpose. Choose perspective. See adversity not only as pain, but as opportunity for meaning. These small practices create a meaningful life, day by day. Living forward. One day your life will be measured not by how easy it was, not by how much you collected, but by how much meaning you carried. Did you love? Did you serve? Did you grow? Did you endure suffering with courage and hope? These are the questions that matter. And the good news is this: you can choose every day to live in a way that answers yes. So as we close this journey together, let this truth echo in your heart. Life is not about comfort. Life is not about avoidance. Life is about meaning. And meaning is discovered in the way I choose to live every single day. You do not need to wait for tomorrow. You do not need to wait for a perfect moment. Meaning is here. Meaning is now. Meaning is in the choices you make today. Live with intention. Live with love. Live with courage. And you will live with meaning.